Good evening, everyone, and welcome to our third group for professionals. So this class is the Advanced Spoken English class for professionals. And of course, this is not our first time meeting like this. So we have conducted already two classes for this, and this is the third one in the same month, of course. So yeah, this class is specially conducted for professionals, so I don't have to list out who they are because you can see them on the screen. And also many students have contacted me personally and got the course details. So before I go to the course details, let me introduce myself formally. So my name is Theja Nanayakkara, and I'm currently working as a spoken English lecturer and also as the managing director of online A+ Tutor. And I'm also training as a psychology counselor. So I have completed my Bachelor's of Law from Liverpool John Moores University. And yes, I'm currently reading for a master's, and I'm an alumna of Wycherley International School. So those are the areas, the field of work that I'm currently engaged with. Yes, now talking about the course content and the course details, just like I told you before, this is for professionals. That means the crowd, the students who could already speak in English up to a certain level, and those who are willing to improve their communication skills, language skills, and also to improve fluency. So for those students, we are specially conducting this class, and the course duration will be 4 months. So within those 4 months, we'll be practicing you, like we'll be training you to level up your skills. So many students has the doubt, like most of them have this issue now. They have to get promoted, and the only shortage, like the only drawback, the only disadvantage was from their language skills. So no matter how much of an expert you are in your normal subject matter, that is not enough, right? You have to be an expert in your language also. So most of our professionals lack that quality, and also they are lack of confidence, so they can't speak in front of an audience, they can't do a presentation. So there are different issues, right? So many students contacted, and also this was another question most of them asked, whether the class is conducted in English. Yes, this is a class for professionals. So of course, this is totally conducted in English. But if you can't understand something seriously, then we'll be explaining that in Sinhala. So, මම පොඩ්ඩක් සිංහලෙනුත් කතා කරන්නම් අද පළවෙනි දවස නිසා. සමහර අයට පොඩි ප්‍රශ්නයක් තිබ්බා, මේක ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් විතරමද කරගෙන යන්නේ ඒ වගේ. ඉතින් අපි normally we'll be conducting it in English, but මොන හරි ඔයගොල්ලන්ට ගැටලුවක් තියෙනවා නම් ඔයගොල්ලෝ ලැජ්ජ වෙන්න ඕනේ නැහැ. සිංහලෙන් හරි ප්‍රශ්නේ අහලා ඒක clarify කරගන්න පුළුවන්. So there's no need to be shy or afraid of to ask questions. This is your class. So you can ask any questions related to the language, right? So the main objective is like, and a good advantage is like in all the other spoken English classes, especially for professionals, you don't get the opportunity like an individual attention. So you don't get the chance to practice in the live class. You just have to listen to a recording, or else you just have to see what the lecturer is speaking. So today it is an open session, so you can ask questions through the Zoom chat with regard to this course, right? Because I can't allow everyone to speak today, because as you can see, a lot of many students are joining today, so I can't give each and every one of you the chance to speak. But however, from next week onwards, we'll be taking the students who have paid and confirmed. So already we have a good number to start group 3. But anyhow, as I promised you earlier, I'm conducting this open session for everyone to come and see what the course content is, and of course for you to get an idea what we are trying to do here. Yeah, the number of students, it could vary from 15 to 20. So that is like the rough number of students we'll be taking per group. And yes, don't forget the day. It is on Tuesdays, 8:30 to 10:30 p.m. So we'll be conducting 4 classes per month, and that will be continued on every Tuesday. So there's no change in date, no change in time. It is the same time and day. If you have any further questions, please do use the Zoom chat. You can send your questions, anything, any doubts that you have, anything that you need to clarify about the course, you can send them through the Zoom chat. And also one main problem, like I'm conducting these classes for postgraduate students, the students like undergraduates, and also professionals of different professions. So mainly they have this issue now. They have done their exams quite well, but when they go abroad, or else when they have to get exposed to a English speaking society, they get this difficulty of expressing their ideas. So like if you have to be an expert, you have to be openly expressing your ideas and thoughts. So if you fail at that, no matter how much of an expert you are in your subject matter, you will not excel in the other part. So that is the main objective in this class that we are trying to promote. So yeah, I don't see any questions. So let me talk about the course content a little bit. So in this course, like it is a very interactive class. So everybody can speak in the class, and not like in other classes, we give the opportunity to the students, right? They get the opportunity to practice in the live class with the lecturer and also with the fellow students. And we'll be covering like conversations where two students have the chance, and 2 by 2 will continue practicing. So those sorts of activities are conducted, and in this class we'll be boosting your confidence. So at the end of these 4 months, you will be able to speak in English without any hindrance, right? So that is basically our objective, and this is not our first time. This is our group 3, and we are looking forward to start our group 4 quite soon, because like many students are asking, because now group 3 is almost sort of full. So when are you starting your next class? So I will be giving information on that also. If you have any other questions, you can ask them now. Yes, so I will be giving you the chance after the session also, but yes, before we start the lesson, you could send any sort of questions if you have in mind in the Zoom chat. Yes, I will be doing a small lesson also today, just to give you an idea. Yes, another main thing is vocabulary. So one of the main issues that you have is run out of words. You don't know the exact specific word to use in the exact specific situation. So that is like the main problem that you have. So you want to express your idea, but you don't know the exact word, and not just basic English, not just simple sentences. When you get into the society, and especially as professionals, you need to have new words according to each and every profession, and just keep the profession apart. In general, you need to know these words. Now, for example, in this class, we'll be categorizing it into several topics. Now, for example, at a bank, at a supermarket, and in a presentation, when you have to do a speech, right, deliver a speech, or else at a conference, how do we develop these communication skills, interpersonal skills? So you can check out some videos in my YouTube channel. I have already uploaded one on interpersonal skills. So that sort of knowledge and practice is given here, right? The course content, I already explained you what I'm trying to do here. So we'll be working on vocabulary, spoken English first. Yeah, spoken English, the class is, yeah. And yes, that is the course content, of course, right? So everything that you need to speak English fluently, everything that you need to do that, we'll be covering within this course duration. Okay, and yes, most importantly, pronunciation. Now, in English, not like in Sinhala, if you make a slight a small mistake in pronunciation, the meaning of the word is going to be different, right? So that is a very serious issue. And as professionals, it's not good for you to make mistakes like that. So we'll be like every week, we'll be giving you a list of words, and not just the word itself, we'll be giving like examples. How do we use this word in a real life situation? And also, how do we pronounce it properly? So first of all, we have to be confident with what we are speaking, right? So you need to know what you are speaking. And also that, like, if you want to convince others, how do you do that, right? So as professionals, you always have to convince others. You have to make people understand. You have to express your ideas. You have to communicate well. Now, another problem, like many students from overseas are joining this class, so they have worked in the foreign, like with the foreigners, with the native English speakers for quite a while, but still they lack of confidence. They do not know how to use the exact phrase on that exact situation. So in this class, we'll be training you how to face a real life situation. So if you get a situation like this, what sorts of words do you have to know? What sort of phrases, what sort of expressions do you have to know? And also something like idioms, we will be covering all of that, all those extra stuff that you have to know, right? And not just simple sentences. Yeah, some students had this issue. Now we have a small issue with tensors. What about grammar? So are you covering grammar in this class? So many questions came up when they personally contacted me. So the students who have that issue, you can join my other class also. Now already there are students who are participating in both the classes. So I have another class named as Spoken English Mulasita Saralava. So you can join that as well. So in that also, I'll be covering the basic grammar parts. So some students are joining both, right? I will be giving a small discount if you want to join both the classes, because I started them both at once, because yesterday we had the free seminar for that class and today it's for the professionals class. So if you think like you are not that advanced, if you feel like you are not able to catch up, you can always join the other class also. So there's always a backup for you, right? And not just that, now especially with this COVID-19 pandemic, everything is done online, right? So how do we do online transactions, other stuff, right? And also how do we correctly type an business email? So very important stuff according to today's situation in our country and also all around the world. You need to have those basic skills. So some students ask about what do you like, do you cover writing, that area also? So I will be focusing a little bit on the writing part. So in English, it is not that, like, it is not totally different. How do you speak in English, how do you write in English? It is not that different as in Sinhala. So in Sinhala we have different ways, how do we speak and how do we write? It is a little bit different. But in English, you don't have that much of a difference when you do that. So you will get to know all of that once you get enrolled in this course. Okay, if you have any other questions, you can send them on the Zoom chat. So today also I will be discussing some phrases, more than 50 advanced phrases that you will need to know when you have to get into when you need to speak confidently in a conversation, and especially when you interrupt, how do you politely do that? Now, a very important aspect in professionals in speaking English is you have to be polite sometimes, you have to be formal sometimes, and sometimes you can just speak informally. So all these three, how do we do that? Now, especially as professionals in your field of work, most of the time you have to speak formally and politely. So in today's session, I will be covering some sort of that, right? So how do we interrupt someone very in a formal manner? How do we do it politely? And how do we ask for others' opinions? and what are the idioms. Like I will be covering just 2. So like that, that is a session that I'm planning to do today. So if you have any other questions, please do ask. You don't have to be afraid. I'm a very friendly person. You can contact me at any times. I'll be helping my students even after the class. If you have anything to clarify, I'll be helping them. Many students who are doing postgraduate studies, I help them with their assignments sometimes. And for the working people, they sometimes ask for this help in writing emails, business emails. So many students have this issue. How do we summarize it into a small paragraph? How do you write on point? Now I have this purpose. I'm writing this business email for this purpose. But how do I, summarize it? How do I shorten it into a small, 5-6 sentences? How do I do that? And what is the exact word that I have to use in here? So those sorts of questions, I think it is a common question, a common problem for every one of you. So there will be a special lesson going on for business email phrases and many things like that. Written English bit include how to begin. Yes, so email in the sense like how do you start an email, how do you write the body, and what else, how do you end an email. So especially in a formal thing, how do you do that, right? Those sorts of questions. Yeah, so shall we start today's class then? Because I think you have gotten like quite a clear idea about our course. So we can start our today's lesson if you are ready. Okay, so I'll straight away go for today's lesson then. So I hope everyone can see the screen. Okay, so today, as the title reads, I'm going to cover more than 50, maybe 52 sort of, advanced phrases for confident English conversation. So when you get into a conversation, how do you speak with confidence? What are the extra stuff that you have to know? What are the phrases, advanced phrases as a professional? What do you have to know? Like not the things that everybody say. What are the advanced ones? What are the professional stuff that you have to know? So I have divided this into certain categories. So under each one, I will be giving you 5-7 options. So you can choose whatever is comfortable with you, what is familiar with you, and then practice it at home or maybe use it from tomorrow onwards. Okay, so let's get into today's lesson. So I have already told you what it is about. So the first one is what to say when you are asking for other people's opinions. Now this is a very how do I say that? Now, this is a very common topic. Now, always when you talk with someone, you put out your idea and you always have to know what other people are thinking about the same topic. So when you have to do that, and when you are expecting a more interesting answer, and when you have to open up that question to get that, how do you do that? And what is the most simple, very basic method of doing it? So I will be taking you from basic to advanced according to the formality, and also how do we do it politely. I will be giving you instructions and accordingly I have numbered it also. So when you want to ask for other people's opinions, the very basic and most simple, this is the most simple method in which you can do it. Do you agree? So this is very basic and we call them closed questions because the answer is yes or no. So that is a very closed question. If you need to open up that question a little bit, and when you need to get a more interesting answer, what are the other questions that you can ask to mean the same thing? Now, first one, it was, do you agree? Do you agree? So if you want to open it up a little bit, you can use something like this. What do you think about that? What do you think about that? Or else you could say, what's your opinion? what's your opinion? Or else you could say, how do you feel about it? How do you feel about it? So there are now one more thing that you have to keep in mind is when you ask a question, it is a little bit different rather than reading out a normal statement. So the voice tone, when you ask a question, it is a little bit different, right? In single also, you do the same thing unknowingly, effortlessly, you do it, right? So in English also, you have the same scenario. You have to do it, right? And if you need to make if you need to be a little more polite, you would say this: I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. I would, or else when you contract it, you could say I'd like to hear your thoughts on that. Or else you could say I'm interested to hear your opinion about this, right? So that is, if you need to become a little more polite when you ask the question, or else as a sentence, you could use number 5 or 6. And more formally, if you were at a meeting, right, especially at work, right, you could say, would you like to add anything? Right? So you have already presented your idea and you are asking your colleagues, your co-workers to add to it, right? If they have any additional points, they could add to it. Would you like to add anything? Right? So this is a nice, polite way of inviting other people into the conversation in order to share their opinion. So these sort of questions, these sort of statements, you have to use in your life like every day. Every day, you have to do that. No matter which profession you are engaged in, you have to know these sort of questions, these sort of phrases according to the situation, according to the person that you are talking to. You have to use these questions accordingly, right? So that is the first one. If you have any questions, if you didn't understand anything, you can use the Zoom chat and ask if you have any questions about this part. And don't take the wrong idea. Today it's an open session. So from next week onwards, I will be giving the opportunity to the students to speak up and also to practice these phrases. So I will be giving small activities in which you have to get involved and practice them. So it will be a very interactive class from next week onwards. So today I can't give the opportunity to everyone to do that. Okay, so please be understanding about the situation. As I promised, I have given the open session so everybody can come and see what's happening here. And yes, you can join from next week onwards, right? So that is number 1. This is topic 1. So we'll move on to the next part if you don't have any questions. Yes. One more important thing. Now, normally when someone is doing a presentation or maybe explaining something, you have some questions to ask, or else you need to add something right at the same time. So then you have to interrupt the other person. So when you interrupt, there are many ways in which you can interrupt someone. So there are rude ways, there are polite ways, there are formal ways, informal ways, many ways that you can interrupt a person. So the most basic one is to say, sorry, and then you ask the question. Or else you say, excuse me, and then you can ask your question or else the matter that you wanted to discuss. Now, if you want to informally interrupt someone, informally, that means not in a formal manner, you could say, do you mind if I add to that? Can I jump in here? So these are okay to use with like during informal situations. If you are talking to your friend, maybe your close co-worker, it's fine. But if you are in a big event where you have to talk to your superiors, your bosses, your I don't know, supervisors, according to every profession you have that. So then how do you do that? How do we do it in a more polite and in a more formal manner? So you need to know the steps. Basics, how do you do? And in an informal situation, how do you do? And also, if it is a very formal situation and where you have to be very, very polite, how do you do that? Now, number 12 and 13 are for that. So this is a common one, but there is a small difference in these two. First one, sorry to interrupt, but I've got something to say. Sorry to interrupt, but I've got something to say. This is one method. Or else you could change it a little bit and say, sorry for interrupting, but I just needed to share something with you. Like that. Now, what is the difference between number 12 and 13? Now, as soon as you look at that, there's not much of a difference, but there is a difference. Now, what is the difference between these two? If you are directly speaking to the person that you are interrupting, then you can use number 12. Sorry to interrupt, but I've got something to say. That is when you are directly speaking to the person whom you are trying to interrupt. But if it is a different situation where maybe you are stepping into a room full of people talking or maybe discussing about something, maybe a meeting room, something like that, then you could say, sorry for interrupting. I just needed to share something with you, or else I need to make an announcement. So according to the purpose of your interruption, according to the situation, according to the audience, you have to change your question. So these sorts of situations are quite common in any profession, right? So you could use them. And yes, if you need to be even more formal, now this is being polite, and if you need to move a little bit to the formality, if you need to become even more formal, then perhaps you could use this question. And especially this is related to customer service. When you are providing a service for your customer, maybe for your client, then this is very important. Sorry, may I interrupt you for just a moment? Sorry, may I interrupt you for just a moment? So you could ask that question. Or else number 15, if I may interrupt you for a minute, I'd like to share something with you. So like that, there are different phrases that you can use, different questions that you can use according to the given real life situation. So these are not just phrases I'm just throwing at you. No. These are used in real life situations, and I am namely telling them. If it is a meeting room, how do you do that? If you are directly talking to the person, how do you do that? In customer service, how do you do that? In a company, how do you do that? So I will be categorizing it very, how do you say, very nicely and presenting you so you can choose, you know exactly where to use it, right? In other classes, they just throw out phrases. You have to find when and where to use them. But here, I will be guiding you throughout the process, right? When and where you have to use which phrases, which questions, which type of sentences, right? Do you have to be polite here? Do you have to be formal here? Or else can you be informal in this situation? So you have to be very cautious about the words that you use. And especially as professionals, you have to maintain that professional aspect when you work. You don't have to be very friendly. There are times where you have to be a little social, a little friendly, but also you need to know where to draw the line. So the words, the vocabulary plays a major role in that, right? So for the group one, actually, I did a lesson on vocabulary for the first class. So where you can describe personalities of different people. So today it is something to do with phrases, but I will be covering sort of aspects of vocabulary also. Now, according to each and every topic, what are the set of words that you need to know, right? So without the basic, normal, ordinary words that you know, what is the advanced word for that? And instead of the normal phrase that you use in normal life, how do you convert it into a more advanced phrase, right? To become a little more professional, right? Advanced English. That is why I have named it like that. So if you need to do that, One more thing that I forget always, like I have to tell this. So if you need to see an improvement in your language skills, please, you have to be committed. You have to at least allocate 30 minutes a day for your language. I know you are very busy, very committed to your work, but still, if you need to see some self improvement, self growth in this aspect, the language is very important, because you must have already experienced this. Now you are a very hardworking person, and maybe you get chances to go abroad and work there. And once you get that promotion, if you can't face the clients, if you can't face your superiors, no matter how much of an expert you are in your field, if you lack in this skill, you are not going to go forward. You will be stuck in the same place. And same applies for the school students. Now many students didn't know that their lectures were conducted in English. So as soon as they get to the university, they get stuck. Oh, I don't know, what are these terms? I'm confused. Why? Because you don't know the basic stuff. So according to the situation, I will be guiding you through it. So you don't have to be afraid. I'm always here to support you. Okay. So in the meanwhile, if you have any questions, please do send them through the Zoom chat. And I will be moving into the next topic. Yes, this is one important thing. Now, if your profession involves in more speaking, where you have to explain certain stuff, where you have to deliver speeches, no matter, like in every profession, at least once you have to deliver a speech, or else explain the crowd what you are presenting, maybe a presentation. So always when you are presented with a certain topic, you have to stick to the topic. If you go off topic, how do you come back to the topic? Okay, now this is a little bit funny. Now sometimes let's just imagine if it is if it is a doctor. Now you get to talk about the pandemic, those situations. So you have to discuss the health aspect of it. You can't touch politics. Now unknowingly you go for that topic, and you feel like now you suddenly realize that you got distracted, or maybe out of excitement you did it. Now, if you have realized that you have gone off topic, how do you come back on track? Right? This is very important. At least once in your life, you might have done this mistake, right? So from now onwards, you don't have to be afraid. You don't have to get excited. You don't have to be afraid of this situation. I will be helping you on that, right? So here, there are three phrases that you can use when you have gone off topic. So you were supposed to talk about one topic, එක topic එකක් ගැන ඔයා කියවන්න ඕන, කතා කරන්න ඕන, but you have gone off topic, right? So don't be afraid. If you can't understand, I will be explaining it in Sinhala later on. Okay? So three phrases that you need to know. So you first go off topic, and when you come back on track, how do we say? So anyway, getting back to my story, and then you can continue in the situation where you have been talking previously. Just like in the doctor situation, you were supposed to talk about the health crisis in your country. You can't talk about parties, you can't talk about politics. You have to explain the society about the importance of the precautions that they have to take, right? So here you are presenting maybe as a doctor, so you have to talk about the health aspect, and then you suddenly deviate into politics, right? So when you realize that, how do you come back to topic, back to the previous topic? These three you can use. So anyway, getting back to my story, and then you can talk about the pandemic. Or else you could use number 17, as I was saying, and then you can continue. Or else you could ask a question. Oh, where was I? Ah, yes, about the pandemic. Like that, according to the situation, you can change the words. Now here I used pandemic now. According to your profession, according to the topic that you get, you can change that. However, you can use this phrase first, and then mention the topic that you were talking about in the first place. If you have questions about the stuff that I'm explaining, please do send them. And if you can understand, drop a yes also in the Zoom chat and just say, we'll go forward, right? So then I can continue the slideshow, okay? Or else if you are unsure about the topic, you can ask questions, no issue, okay? And I know like this is some students first time using this technology, but eventually you will get used to it, and I will help you on that as well. Now some students told me that this is their first time using Zoom and they don't know much about it, but I will help you on that as well, no worries. Okay. And yeah, sometimes you can combine these expressions, right? You can combine these expressions together according to the situation. Okay, I can see many yeses coming, so I will continue. Yeah, now this is another very important topic. Now let's just say you are having a conversation with another person, right? So you are listening to him, and he sometimes, maybe he asks a question from you and you think you understood it, right? You think you understood, but you just need to double check whether what you understood was correct or wrong. So I will explain it in Sinhala also, right? Now ඔයා අහපු එක ඔයාට තේරුණා කියලා ඔයා හිතනවා. හැබැයි ඔයාට ඒක confirm කරගන්න ඕන, double check කරගන්න ඕන. එයා අහපු එක මං තේරුම් ගත්ත එකත් එක්ක ඒකමයිද කියලා. So sometimes this happens with native English speakers. Their accent is different and they speak a little bit faster. So you have to make sure what they are telling is, right, what you have understood and what they have told are the same thing. So these are like some tricky phrases that you can use, right? So in English, you have to sometimes be a little tricky. Without telling it directly, you can indirectly ask that question, right? So, and sometimes you didn't quite hear the person perfectly, right? Sometimes in phone conversations, it happens, right? The connection gets lost. So you didn't hear it properly, perfectly. So how do you double check that, right? Whether what you understood was correct or wrong. So these phrases will be useful. So what you are asking is, and then you can repeat what you heard. ඔයාට ඇහිච්ච එක repeat කරන්න පුළුවන්. Now, if you have understood it in the wrong manner, then the other person will correct you, right? No. I was not asking about that. I was asking about this. So it is very easy. Rather than giving the wrong answer, if you can do a double check about the question first, then you are going to save that awkward situation, right? So වැරදි උත්තරේ දෙනාට වැඩිය ප්‍රශ්නේ තහවුරු කරගන්න එක හොඳයිනේ. It is better to confirm the question rather than giving a wrong answer where you have to fall into a very awkward situation. So you can save, you can escape from that. So there are actually few more. So what you want to know is, do you mean, in other words, what you are trying to say is. So those phrases are quite tricky. These are the phrases that you can use to, like, it's a little check to make sure you are answering it accurately. Now, this is very important when you're working with superiors. Now, normally they command you, they give you certain tasks to complete, right? So you can't ask them, is this the one, is this the one? You can't repeat the same thing. So how do you do it in a very indirect, very tricky manner, right? So you could paraphrase what you heard. Paraphrase means without using the exact same words, you can use different words to mean the same thing, right? So I will be teaching you all these techniques throughout the course. You don't have to worry. And especially today, it's not a vocabulary lesson. So in the future classes, I will be covering that as well. And if you want to get an idea about the vocabulary part, I have done a previous free seminar on that. I will share the link on the group. I think I have already shared the videos, so you can check them out if you need to. or else I'll be continuing that the next week. Okay, so these are 4 phrases that you can use. And also, especially, we are coming back to customer service. Now, most of the professions, like who contacted me, they were in this area where they have to frequently talk to their customers, their clients, right? In any profession, you have to, even a doctor has to talk to their patients, right? Even in engineer, when you when you take a, let's say, a project, you have to talk to the contractors or whatever the people you are connected to. So always it is good to confirm stuff. Now, when you overtake, like when you take up some task, a proposal, a project to complete, you have to be quite sure what you are doing. And also when you are speaking, when you are communicating, you have to be very clear about what you are communicating. Now, if the idea is communicated in the wrong manner, you can't get the best results. So you always end up with a serious issue, a serious mistake. Sometimes the ones that you can't change, you can't alter, right? So as professionals, you are working with a huge responsibility, right? So you have to be very cautious about your words and also about your actions. So I'm here to help with your language, the interpersonal communication skills, especially. Okay, so there are 2 more phrases that you can use, and they are a little more formal than the previous ones. So you could use the word confirm. Confirm. I would like to confirm what you said. And normally this is mostly used in hotels. When they take orders, they say, I would like to confirm, right? Or else, excuse me, can I just confirm that? Can I just confirm what you said? So this is a good direct phrase in which, like in a situation like that, you can use it, right? Especially in restaurants and in hotels, especially in customer service, where you have to talk to your clients or maybe your customers, whoever it is. And another interesting part is, this is actually a little bit difficult for some people who are a little bit defensive, because when you speak up, you give your opinions according to your perspective. That means according to the way you see it, you give comments. Sometimes it could be a compliment, sometimes it could be it could sound offensive. So how do you agree with people? How do you disagree with people? Now, not all times you can agree with someone. There are certain instances in which you don't stand in the same side, where you have a different opinion, you have a different idea about the topic. So always agreeing with someone is easy, but when you want to disagree with someone, it is a little bit difficult. So how do we do that? Now, first I will start with the easy part. How do you agree with someone? Now, even in social media, you say like, do you agree with this one? And all the people comment on it like saying, yes, absolutely. Yes, I completely agree with you. Now, these are very common phrases. You can see it every day, right? Everybody uses it. But if you want to stand out a little bit, what are the more fantastic expressions? What are the new phrases that you can use? Yes, absolutely. Yes, obviously, those are quite common. Everybody uses it. Even the school students know that. But when you want to stand out, you need to be evolving with the new society, right? Every day there are new phrases coming up in English language, right? More professional stuff, more advanced stuff. So you have to be updated. You have to know which one is which, right? So new, something new. I couldn't agree more. I couldn't possibly agree more. Or else you could use some adverbs. I really strongly agree with you. So these are some more, advanced and not the basic ordinary phrases that you have heard already, right? I couldn't agree more. I couldn't possibly agree more. Or else I really strongly agree with you. So these are actually strong comments that you firmly agree with this person, right? So I'm still at agreeing with someone. So we are slowly moving into the opposite side. Okay. So when you disagree with someone, there are percentages. Now, sometimes you are totally disagreeing with someone, or else sometimes it's like 50-50. I am agreeing with you up to certain extent, but some points I'm not agreeing with you. එකනේ දැන් මම එක චුට්ටක් සිංහලෙනුත් explain කරන්නම්. අපි කා එක්ක හරි disagree වෙනකොට සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම disagree වෙන ඒවා තියෙනවා. එහෙම නැත්නම් භාගේ. ඔයා කියන this යම්තාක් දුරකට හරි. හැබැයි මෙන්න මේ ටික මම ඒවත් එක agree වෙන්නේ නැහැ. So if it is a situation like that, how do you do that? Somewhat disagreeing, right? What to say when you are somewhat disagree? That means not 100% up to a certain extent. Now 4 phrases I'm going to show you today. Now this one. So that means you accept some of the ideas that the other person has shared, but you don't completely agree with them. Okay. So number 28, I see what you mean, but, and why have I kept 3 dots? Because later on you can express your idea. What is the different opinion that you are bearing, right? What you are holding. So you can present your idea which is different from your friends or else the other person that you are talking to. Your different idea can be expressed after that. I see what you mean, but I have a different opinion. Like that you could say, and later on you can explain what that different opinion is. Number 29, this point of view, perspective, these are like the words which are going hand in hand, which have more or less the same meaning, right? I understand your point of view, but I've got a different opinion. So like that, you could present your idea. Or else, I can see where you are coming from. But now I know some students haven't heard this at least once in their life, right? So, but these are the phrases that you have to know, you have to learn, you have to collect. This is for life, not just for an exam, right? So after these 4 months, you are collecting this for your life, right? So this could help with your next promotion, who knows, right? With your postgraduate studies. This is for life. You are not going to disappoint, you are not going to get disappointed, because this will be very helpful in whichever, like be it in your personal life, be it in your professional life, whichever it is, this is going to be very important, right? So I will be presenting you very new words, very new phrases that you might haven't heard before, but which are very important for professionals who are going into the society, the next generation especially, right? So here we have one more. I agree with you up to a point. However, I've got a different opinion. So like that, you could say, you could express what your opinion is. So there's more. So this is if you are somewhat disagreeing. Now we'll see if you are completely disagreeing with this person, how do you say it, right? Now you are presented with some argument and that person is saying, yes, I agree with that. But you have a different idea, which is totally different from your friends, maybe your superior, maybe your co-worker. Now, how do you do that without hurting the other person's feelings? Now, you have to be very cautious about that. Now, I have experienced some of the professionals, when they speak, they sound very offensive, right? That is a very bad quality, something that you shouldn't develop. You have to be always very polite, very formal. Even when you are giving a negative comment, even when you are disagreeing, you have to maintain that balance, right? You have to protect that personality of yours, right? So we'll see how do you do that in a polite manner, okay, which is very important. So just like I told you before, agreeing is easy, disagreeing is a little bit difficult, right? So then what do you say when you disagree completely? Now you are not even 1% agreeing with the person. You are carrying a totally different idea about the topic. So you could say, I don't feel the same way. I don't feel the same way. Or else you could say, actually, I don't quite agree, or else I disagree. Now, these are something common. Or else, now this is a quite interesting phrase, I'm afraid. Now, when I ask this question from many students, I'm afraid, what do you mean by I'm afraid? හැමෝගෙම මේ question එක ඇහුවම කියන්නේ මම බයයි කියලා. I'm afraid. But it is not the same in this situation. I'm afraid in normal sentence is mama bayai. I'm afraid. But here we use this phrase to show that you are being polite, not to say that you are worried or scared, but we are trying to make the statement a little more polite. Now, these things are the hidden stuff in the language, right? So you didn't know that earlier. I bet, right? Not even one of you had known that earlier, right? So there are hidden stuff in this language, right? Where you haven't heard before, right? Something like that. I'm afraid I don't agree with you on that. I'm afraid I don't agree with you about that. So you could use this I'm afraid part when you want to sound, or else when you are trying to make a statement more polite, right? I'm afraid I can't help you. Now, for example, as a professional, you are asked to do favors. Sometimes it is out of bounds. That means according to your authority, according to your powers, according to your boundaries, you don't have the permission to do that. So when you have to turn down an offer, or else maybe a favor, something your customer is asking you to do. So how do you do that without hurting that other person's feelings, or else without being aggressive? You can use this. I'm afraid I can't help you. I'm afraid I can't agree with this. I'm afraid. You can use this phrase to show that you are being more polite. Okay. I'm afraid I don't agree with you on this one. So these can be used. And also, when you need to be formal, now this word plays a major role in English language. Now, when you use respectfully, now this is a very special word, because when you want to sound formal, and mostly professionals do this, respectfully, I have to disagree. So that shows that you are being very, very formal. You are not being aggressive. You are not being defensive. You are not being offensive. You are using the word respectfully. I have to disagree. Now, these are the qualities. These are the skills that you have to improve in yourselves, especially as professionals, right? And one more thing, now when you are in a conversation and when you feel like it is getting heated up, this will end up in an argument. If you feel that tension, that atmosphere in your conversation, and when you have to end the conversation at that on a good note, you could use this. Number 36. This is very important. Well, we'll have to agree to disagree then. Now, this is when you want to change the topic, or else when you feel like there's a bit of tension, or else when the conversation is getting heated, and when you feel like this conversation might end up with a fight or maybe an argument in a wrong manner, you could end certain things by using this phrase. We'll have to agree to disagree then. A very safe phrase. When you are getting frustrated and annoyed about the situation, you can use them. Now, see how many words I used. Bit of tension, frustrated, annoyed, heating up. What are these words? You have to know them. Okay, so these are the words like advanced, maybe something a little bit different rather than the basic English that we are talking, right? So we'll move on to the next part. Okay, this is sort of an advice for all of you. So when you speak in English, you can be quite rude. And also your body language plays a major role. Your facial expressions, your gestures, what do you do with your hands? What do you do with your eyes, right? When you speak to someone, try to not show your anger, your feelings, because it is a disadvantage for you, no matter how much of a difficult situation you are in, right? You feel like you have to hit that person, but still don't show that with your facial expressions. It is a very good quality if you can maintain, because now this happens when you are disagreeing with some person, with someone, you have this anger, right? It feels like you're burning inside. So when you shake your head, when you roll your eyes, or else when you sigh, when you do that, it shows that you are frustrated. It shows that you are annoyed with that person, which is a bad thing. So especially when you are speaking in English or maybe any language, please be aware of the body language, the facial expressions, the gestures that you use. This is very important. Not in English, not only in English, in any language that you use, this is very important. Just keep that in mind, and we'll move on to our next part. Yeah, a very good one. Now, sometimes when you speak about the same topic, you get bored, or else you get distracted. You don't have more stuff to talk about. Now, let's just say we talk about internet, or else online shopping. So you run out of things to say about the topic, and you feel like you have to deviate the topic. And sometimes when you are talking to certain people, they start boasting about themselves, right? Boasting about themselves, Abhikan blowing their own trumpet. Those are idioms. You don't know them. I will teach you. Okay. So we call that boasting, talking high of themselves, right? They have everything. I have done this. I have that car. I have this thing, right? So when they are boasting, when you feel like you have to deviate the topic, you have to deviate. What do? You can use these phrases. You can say, oh, that reminds me of, and then you can nicely change the topic. Now, these are certain tricks that you need to know when you are handling the language, when you are using the language. Number 38, speaking of that, speaking about that. So you could slowly change the topic, right? Now, this is very funny and this is very interesting if you know the essence, like if you know the basic stuff. How do you use this in the correct position, in the correct situation? English is not that difficult. You can use it. You can, play with the language if you know that. Okay, so I'm just trying to help you out. Okay, so yes, sometimes you run out of things, so for different reasons you think of changing the topic. So these are like, for example, I have given this, which is in a informal situation. Speaking about your holiday to Greece, did I tell you that I've got a trip planned later in the year? So slowly you are taking the attention to your side, right? So your friend was talking earlier about his stuff. Now you are trying to get the attention to your side. Now you are going to lead the conversation. So these are small tricks, the techniques that we use in English language to slowly deviate the direction. You slowly change the direction where the conversation is flowing. And if you want to introduce something completely different, now earlier we just deviated from the topic, but maybe now earlier you were talking about online shopping and now you have to talk about politics or maybe education, something which is totally different, completely different from the topic that you were talking already. So then there are different phrases that you have to use. Now, this is the importance of knowing the language, because some students, even though they know the phrase, they do not know which is the exact position, exact situation where they have to use them. So that is why I have divided this separately, divided it nicely so that you can understand according to which situation can I use this phrase. Can you see that? Now here I have given when you want to introduce something completely different. Earlier it was deviating from the topic, right? So here you can use these 5. Oh, by the way, did I tell you about this? Now, this is very famous, and in Sinhala we do that. Mata amataka wenna kaling, I have to tell this. Before I forget, I've got something I want to say. Now, in Sinhala, you are experts at that. You know how to change the topic very nicely. I don't have to teach you that. But how do you do the exact same thing in English? These are the phrases that you have to know. And number 40. Oh, while I remember, did I tell you about this? So you are slowly, completely changing the topic. You are moving into a totally different topic. There's a small phrase that you have to use, and those phrases are given. And sometimes when you directly say, now, topic change when you want to directly say that, you can use number 42 or 43. 42 is, this has nothing to do with what we are talking about, but I've got to share it anyway. Especially this is common with women, but in professional situations also, sometimes you get into conversations and it feels like, it's a little boring, or else you feel like it's a very awkward situation. So then you can quickly use these phrases and change the topic according to what you want. Then you can actually lead the conversation without allowing the other person. So number 42, this has nothing to do with what we are talking about, but I've got to share it anyway. Now, and the last one, number 43, I know this is completely changing the topic, but I've got to tell you anyway. So these are some tricky and some nice English phrases that you want to know. You have to know. Want to know, you have to know when you are introducing something completely different with what you are talking right now, right? So we'll move on to the next part. This is one important topic, controversial. How many of you all know what controversial is? Actually, this is something to do with advanced conversation skills. Now, I know there are some lawyers who have joined to today's class. So lawyers are, of course, you have to speak a lot, and especially about controversial topics. What are controversial topics? Not even a lawyer. In any profession, at least once you have to talk about a controversial topic. How many of you all know what controversial is? Or we call them contentious. Do you know that? No? Not even one? Okay, now don't Google search. I'm just asking from you. Okay. So what is a controversial situation? Now that is why you need to, can you understand the lack of words? You don't know the words. The number of words that you know are quite limited. Controversial, contentious, or we call it argumentative. That means always there are two sides to it. It is always a debatable topic. No matter how long that debate goes, you can't come to a conclusion because always there are supporters and also there are opponents, proponents, opponents. So this is quite interesting, which is like my favorite part. Even when I was doing my papers, I very much like this topic, controversial topics, argumentative. You have many areas to explore on, right? You have now, especially this is common with social issues, religion, politics, and any field of work, right? You have two sides to it, controversial, contentious. Yes, very good. Paraspara, correct. The Sinhala word someone has sent it, quite good. Okay, so like that, you have some topics like that to discuss. Now, when you are in a position like this, you have to know, like there are few tools actually and a few tips that can help you to keep the conversation open and at the same time to keep the conversation positive, which are like you have to do those things and you have to maintain that balance. Because now when you get into a controversial topic, if you sound defensive or offensive, it is not going to be good for your personality or character. So when you are introducing an idea that you feel like not everyone's going to agree with you, then you can start. Now අපි කියන්න කලින්ම දන්නවා නම් අහන් ඉන්න අය මාත් එක්ක සම්පූර්ණයෙන්ම මේකත් එක්ක එකඟ වෙන්නේ නැහැ. අනිවාර්යයෙන්ම මගේ එකට ඇටැක් කරනවා කියලා දන්නවා නම් අපිට we are in the safe side if you use this phrase first. Okay, so that is why I'm trying to teach you this. Okay. Yes, very good. I already told you that there are a few lawyers. So I have this comment. In courts, we use very often. So I'm working in the same field. So that is actually something that I like very much when you have to talk about a controversial situation, right? Because I know she's also a lawyer. Right? So we have to work in those situations. How do we use this in a very tricky and in a professional manner? Right? Thank you. And number 44. I know not everyone agrees with me, but this is what I think. Right? That is number 44. Now, there are several ways to say this. That is just only one method. Number 45. I know this is a contentious issue. And then you can go into the explanation. Why this is a contentious issue? Why do you hold these thoughts? What are your explanations for it? Right? Now, you can't just throw away an argument. You have to clarify. You have to support your idea. Why? On what grounds are you supporting this idea? What are the the facts that you have to bring forward? So no matter which profession you are working in, at least once in your life, you have to go through something like this. And keep your professional work aside. Even in your personal life, think about the arguments that you have to face, from family to work to relations to friends, and especially family. Right? How many arguments you get into? So without hurting the other person's feelings, you have to do this. So to be in the safe side, you can use one of these phrases. Number 46. This is a good phrase. Unpopular opinion. Unpopular opinion. I will read out the complete phrase. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I strongly believe. ඒ කියන්නේ අපි මිනිස්සු 100ක් ගත්තොත් 100න් 80ක්ම ඒකත් එක්ක එකඟ වෙන්නේ නැති වෙයි. හැබැයි අර චූටි percentage එක ඇතුලේ මම ඒක strongly believe කරනවා. So you are already telling that it is an unpopular opinion. So you have already broken that barrier because you have already told it. It might be an unpopular opinion, but I strongly believe that this is the right one. So you could always go forward with your argument, but before that, use this phrase. Okay? And another good one, I will ask another question. What do you mean by I don't see eye to eye? Eye to eye. What is that? A very interesting, another interesting phrase. In every profession, you use this. I don't see eye to eye with everyone on this matter. I have been explaining this for quite a while. Can you just guess what is that? I don't see eye to eye. I don't see eye to eye with everyone on this matter. Yes, any guesses? Quick guesses? I will give you the chance. Anyone? Okay, I can see some of the people are trying a little bit close, but not the exact answer that I am expecting. Okay, don't be afraid. Even it's wrong, it's fine. You have at least tried. Okay. I can see some words coming. Okay. So I don't see eye to eye with everyone on this matter means every one of you cannot come into a conclusion that you are supporting the same side. Just like I told you before, it's like controversial. You can't come into the same conclusion. You do not agree with everyone on this matter. That is why we call it I don't see eye to eye with everyone. So the way I see it might be different from someone else's opinion. So there's always this argument, right? So you don't see eye to eye. Eye to eye is you don't agree with everyone in this topic. Okay, but I think it's really important to discuss this. So there are certain stuff, even if you know that people are going to attack your argument, you anyway have to go ahead with that. Now there are certain situations where you know that you are going to get counter arguments, but you can't be, very ashamed, very shy. Okay, I agree with you. You can't do that. There are certain situations you have to, you know be open and express your ideas. So you can't just ignore the situation. You have to face it one to one. So then you can use this. I don't see eye to eye with everyone on this matter, but I think this is something really important to discuss. And number 48. Now, all of these are more or less the same, but according to the situation, you can change it a little bit. Whilst you may not agree with my views, I'm definitely interested in hearing yours. Now, this is a very good phrase, actually better than the rest of it, because not only my views, I'm always open to hear what you are trying to say. Okay, I'm definitely interested in hearing yours, not just mine. So I can speak. I can elaborate on my points and go ahead. But not just my views, I'm interested. I'm definitely interested in hearing yours. So there's always this connection with the opponents and proponents, or else your client and you, right? So there's always this connection. So another idiom, actually, a little fun idiom that most of y'all don't know. I'm not trying to ruffle anyone's feathers here. Ruffle. What is ruffling? Ruffling. I just showed you. Ruffling means now normally ruffle karana kya na api mehema mess up karana. Especially with hair. When you mess up something with your hand, when you do like this and you mess up your hair, that is ruffling. So what is ruffle anyone's feathers? Again, no. This is not about feathers itself. This is an idiom. Now, why y'all can't understand certain stuff? Now, onema society idioms use karana. You are not directly telling what it is, but there is a hidden meaning behind that phrase. So that is why most of y'all fail in understanding the situation, because you don't know the hidden meaning. Now in English you have literal meaning, metaphorical meaning, and also some stuff called idioms and similes. So you have to know all of these, and especially when it comes to advanced conversation skills, you have to always know what they are trying to imply. So not always they are going directly, sometimes they go indirectly and they use some other stuff to explain that. So as professionals, you have to know what is hidden inside, right? අපිට එළියෙන් පේන එක sentence එකක්. හැබැයි what they are trying to say is totally different. Now in this one, if someone says, I'm not trying to ruffle anyone's feathers here. Now you might be wondering what is ruffle and why is he using feathers here? You might be thinking, but actually this is an idiom. So just like that, there are several other phrases like in which there is always a hidden meaning, right? You have to know that. Ruffling anyone's feathers is you are not trying to make anyone upset, or else you are not trying to make someone angry, or else you are not trying to mess up with someone. So ruffling is to do that. To not try to ruffle is the opposite of that. So always you have to be cautious about the sentence. Is it a positive sentence? Is it a negative sentence? Or else is it a question? Now here it is a negative one. So if you say, I am trying to ruffle, mama ruffle karannai hadanne, then you are telling, I am going to make you upset. So godak professionals ඒ වගේ mistakes කරනවා. They do not know what to use. That is why you have to be very cautious when you choose a tutor, because sometimes they know ruffle anyone's feathers කියන එකේ meaning එක. But when you put that into a sentence, you have to know the real meaning in it. Now, in this case, if you say, I'm trying to ruffle your feathers, it is going to be totally different. But here we are trying to say, I am not trying to ruffle anyone's feathers. You have to say, I am not trying to make somebody upset. I'm not trying to make somebody angry. So, may not take a it could be a total disaster. Can you understand it? So it could be interesting, it could be disastrous, safe, but at the, there's a small difference. They're not, right? So those are 6 phrases that you can use if you are talking about a controversial topic, a controversial one. And yes, we have come to the end of today's session. So how do we end a conversation? Now, this is actually, I will be covering more lessons like this, but this is just to give you an idea. And I will explain this first. When you want to end a conversation, now, what are the reasons that you have to end? Sometimes when you don't feel like you are getting stuck in a conversation, or else when you have to move on, you have something else to do, you can use one out of these. Now, for example, having one of these simple expressions on hand will help you to politely end a conversation. So everything that you do, especially when you are using a language, you have to be very formal sometimes, and also always try to be polite, which is a good one. So number 50, well, I'd best be off. That means දැන් මං ගියොත් හොඳයි වගේ එකක්. Well, I'd best be off. It's been great chatting. That means I really interested the time that we spent together, but now it's time for me to leave. Now, rather than telling all of those words, you can summarize it into these 2 sentences, simple, short sentences, right? Number 51. Anyway, I'd better get back to it. I better get back to work. Now, for example, you talk to this person while you were doing something, right? So now you have to go back to work. So how do you do that politely? You can say, anyway, I'd better get back to it. I better get back to work. I better get back to school. Like that, you can end the conversation. And also number 52, giving a compliment. I'm so glad I ran into you. Now, most of the students do not know what this is. What does this mean? I ran into you. I'm so glad I ran into you. දුවගෙන ගියා කියලාද කියන්නේ? No. What is it? What does that mean? I ran into you. What does, now I have taught this to my other students. I ran into you. I bumped into you. I have crossed paths with you. Now that's why I don't think any one of you know what these are, right? I ran into, I bumped into, we have crossed paths before. These are some phrases that you have to definitely know. What does it mean? When you unexpectedly meet someone, you can use these phrases. අහම්බෙන්. ඒ කියන්නේ ඔයගොල්ලෝ plan කරන්නේ නැතුව කාවාරි අහම්බෙන් හම්බුනාම when you meet someone unexpectedly, you use this. I ran into you, I bumped into you, I crossed paths with you. There are many 101 phrases that you have to know in English language, right? So this is one of that. I'm so glad I ran into you. It's been great catching up. And what does that mean? Catching up. Catch. Bolya kallana? That catch. No, no, no. Catching up means when you talk about the stuff that you have missed, right? So let's just say you are meeting someone after maybe 10 years. So all the things that have happened since you last met each other, to talk about that, we call catching up. So that is another new phrase. You have to know these phrases because in everyday life, who use the language very fluently and who are very, the people who has a good command of English, they use these phrases. So when you have to move with those people, when you have to work in the same place as they are, you have to know these extra phrases, the advanced professional phrases. Okay. One of that, catching up. I'll see you soon. Okay, number 52, I'll repeat it once more. I'm so glad I ran into you. It's been great catching up. I'll see you soon. So I'm just giving him another thing. I'll see you soon. Right? So these are very good ways in which you can end a conversation. Rather than telling always, okay, bye, goodbye, you can use something like this, which is very nice. Okay. So these are the phrases that I wanted to teach you today. And we'll be having many more lessons just like this. And especially today, I focused on some phrases. But on the other days, we'll be doing conversations. We will be taking separate topics and talking about them, and also about vocabulary. So in each and every situation, what are the set of words that you have to know? We will be covering that. And also we will be getting into some activities, some group activities, where you can, gather and do. And also you will be always having the opportunity to talk to me, to practice with me in the live class. So I will be correcting your mistakes, your pronunciation mistakes, your grammar mistakes, and when you speak, how do you have the flow? Now most of the students don't have the flow. Sometimes they get stuck, and sometimes they have uh we say mata kara kara kiyana, because you don't have that word in your muscle memory. So we will be practicing you, we will be training you how to keep those words in your memory, in your muscle memory. According to that situation, how do we quickly choose the phrase? So all comes with practice. So you can practice, you can get the best advantage within those 2 hours that you meet me. And during the other days of the week, I will be giving you several activities to do. Okay, I already get a comment. I had a wonderful session today. Thanks a lot. And somebody has said, I like the way you teach. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you so much. And yes, of course, you can put forward all your comments, your compliments, or else anything, any complaints or anything that you have to say in the chat box. And also, if you have any questions, yes, nicely delivered. Thank you, madam. Let's catch up next week. Surely, I will catch you guys next week. Any other things that you have to clarify? Anything else that you have to ask me? I'm open because we have some more time. I can discuss. Okay, welcome. Anything else? Any questions? Anything to clarify about the course or else the course of conduct? Anything you can course material. So we will be, yeah, I forgot to tell it. Sorry. Now, if you have missed the live session, we will be always providing you the recording of that session. So even if you participate in the live class or not, you will feel like you are in it because we will be giving you the recording. So no matter, like, even after participating in the live class, throughout the week, you can watch it over and over again, and practice those phrases with me. It feels like I'm with you throughout the week because I will be explaining stuff that will be recorded, and you can always practice those at home, even in your free time. So you can just plug in your, earphones and just listen to our class. So it is a great opportunity that you get, because not even a single class, other class, they do not provide your recording. So I do that because of you. So please take the maximum advantage of it. And also, not just that, if you have any questions related to English language, you can always text me on WhatsApp and clear out your doubts. I help some students to write business emails and professional work also. So not just the class stuff, something related to your profession also, I will be helping on that. How do we get the recording? So once you pay and join, we will be sharing the link with the students, and that video is not a public video, so we will be adding your emails into it, and that video can be viewed only for my students. Like, it can be viewed only by you, not everyone else. So it will be uploaded as a private one that can be reached by only you. So any other questions? And also one more thing. Now, this is a totally sort of customized. So according to the students, now, if you feel like there are certain recommendations, any requests, now, if you feel like something, this could be better, I'm always open for recommendations and requests. So I will be carefully considering all my students' requests and recommendations. And if I feel like this is something important for the whole group, I will be doing that as a lesson. Okay, so if you have anything in mind, please do share with me. I'm always open to any conversation. I'm a very friendly person, so don't be afraid. I'm always open to talk. Okay, so don't keep your doubts in mind. Please contact me and clarify everything that you have in mind. And if you feel like you have to speak in Sinhala, it's okay. මම හොඳට සිංහල කතා කරනවා, සමහර අය බයයි මම ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින්ම කතා කරයි කියලා. එහෙම ප්‍රශ්නයක් නැහැ. I'm a Sri Lankan, so I do speak Sinhala also. If you have to clarify it in Sinhala, I'm always open. මම සිංහලෙන් හොඳට ඔයගොල්ලන්ට පැහැදිලි කරලා දෙන්නම්. ඉංග්‍රීසි වලින් එහෙම කියන එකක් තේරෙන්නේ නැත්නම්. So apart from that, if you have any other questions, please, you can forward them now. Any other questions before we conclude for today? Yes, if you have any recommendations also, you can put forward that, or else any comments that you have to make, anything that you were not clear. Yes, and if you feel like you don't want to tell it now, you can always contact me on this number. I will show it to you again. So I'm available on WhatsApp. So the students who want to enter the class, or else who are interested, you can always talk to me even after today's session. I will clarify all doubts, everything. Okay, so if you don't have any further questions, I will end the session at that. And if anyone wants to personally talk to me, you can always reach me on this number. Okay, by the way, I like your teaching. Okay. Right. So thank you so much. I hope this was a very successful and also a very interesting session for everybody. This will be very important for your personal life and also for your professional life. So please practice them from today onwards, maybe from tomorrow morning onwards. First start from your home and then go to your workplace, go to your friends. Please use these phrases every day in your life. Practice makes you perfect. So please do these exercises, the techniques that I teach you, the extra points that I give you. And also when you join the class next week, please maintain a notebook, because I give you many additional tips and tricks that you want to try out. So when you want to note it down, please maintain a notebook separately for difficult words, phrases, and extra stuff that I teach you. Okay. All right. So thank you for joining today. I hope it was a very successful event. And I'm looking forward to see every one of you from next week onwards. And yes, nicely taught by you. Thank you. And yes, don't forget the day. It is on Tuesdays from 8:30 to 10:30. And this is for professionals, group 3. Okay. So if you need any further information, please do contact me on this number. So thank you again. Good night, everyone. Thank you for joining today. I'll see every one of you next week. Okay. Stay safe and good night, everyone.